Hello everybody, welcome to Yoga for Self-Love with Kim. I am Kim. This will be a short, quickie, gentle practice to move through our spine, find some fluidity through the spine. So bring yourself to your mat, find a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting up on a blanket, you can do the same, or sit up on a block or bolster, whatever feels good for you. Start with a nice upright alignment through your spine. Root down through your sitting bones and your pubic bone and your feet and your legs. Let the feet and the legs, lower body get heavy. Lengthen up through the spine, up through the crown of your head. And if it feels okay for you, you can close your eyes or find a soft gaze. And just take a moment to allow yourself to land. Take these next 10 or 15 minutes just for our yoga practice. You can put down your to-do list and let go of everything else. This is all you need to do for the next little bit. So take a moment to check in and notice how you feel today. How are you feeling mentally, emotionally, energetically? And how are you feeling in your body? Letting go of judgment, just bringing in a playful sense of curiosity. And just trying to become aware of yourself. As always, I invite you to bring in the intention to be gentle, kind, patient, loving, and compassionate with yourself as you move through this practice. And you can bring your palms together at your heart. If you had your eyes closed, you can flutter the eyes open. And then we'll take our hands to the tops of our shoulders, elbows out to the sides. Again, rooting down through your foundation, lengthening up through the spine, reaching the crown of your head up. Imagine you had a little string at the top of your head, gently pulling your head up towards the ceiling. Imagine your head is this helium balloon just sitting right up on top of your spine. And then we'll take a little baby twist over to the right, spinning from bottom of the rib cage or higher up. And then bring yourself back to center. And then a little baby twist over to the left. And then bring it to center, twist it over to the right, back to center, twist it over to the left. Let's come back to center. One more time, little twist over to the right. Back to center, and then once more, a little twist over to the left, and then bring yourself back to center. Fingers still up on top of your shoulders here, and then roll your elbows up towards the ceiling. Lift up your heart, lift up your gaze, and then roll your elbows down. And as you do, drop your chin down towards your chest so you find this rounding through your back. And then again, roll the elbows out and up, lift up through your heart, lift up your gaze. Roll the elbows down and in, rounding through the back, chin rolls back to the chest. And then once more, roll the elbows out and up, lift your heart. And then roll the elbows down and in, chin drops down to the chest. And then slowly bring yourself up to seated. Reach the arms out to the side and begin to reach out from one hand to the other, gently swaying yourself from side to side. And then bring yourself to center, hands to knees or thighs, and then roll your torso over to the right, and then forward, and then over to the left, and then roll yourself back, and then find a few more circles around, making your circles as big or small as you like, and you can take your time. Make it nice and slow, or you can pick up the pace, and you can also stop, linger, breathe anywhere that you find any sticky spots or any areas that feel like they need a little bit more TLC. As you feel ready, you can switch the direction of your circles, roll it around the other way. Bring yourself up to center. Take the right fingers underneath the right shoulder. Reach the left arm up along the ear. Nice long tall spine, and gently fold it over to the right. Bring the rib cage over towards the right side. Grounding down through the left butt, left sit bone, left hip, and reaching up and out through left fingers. And then bring yourself up to center, drop left fingers down under left shoulder, reach right arm up along the ear, sitting up nice and tall again, and then gently arching it over towards the left this time. Reaching up and out through the right fingers and down through the right sitting bone. And then bring yourself up to center. We'll find our way over onto hands and knees, coming into table position. You could tuck the blanket under your knees if you like, if you need a little extra cush or support under your knees. And then come on to the hands and knees. Knees about hip width, hands about shoulder width, and then just give yourself a few little rocks from side to side. You can find a little snaky movement through your spine. And then bring yourself to center, and then take a little peek over towards your right hip, a little right side body crunch, finding length through the left side, and bring yourself to center. Take a little peek over towards the left hip, find that left side body crunch, opening through the right side. Bring it back to center. We'll take a peek over to the right hip again, back to center, and then take a peek through that left hip, and then bring yourself back to center. We'll roll through a few rounds of our cat-cow, moving through the spine. As we do, let's begin by imagining that we're initiating the movement from our tailbone. So as you move through your cat-cow, imagine that you're moving from the tail. So tail begins to lift up towards the ceiling. Belly begins to soften. You could begin to find the movement going from the lumbar spine through the thoracic spine, opening up through cervical spine. And then we'll move through the tail again, this time tilting tailbone down, beginning to find that movement up through the lumbar spine, that rounding up through the thoracic spine, and then the chin draws in towards chest. Find your cat pose. And then again, we'll move from the tail, begin to tilt the tail up. Movement moves from the tail up through sacrum, up through lumbar spine, up through your thoracic spine. Heart begins to lift. Chin lifts, and then again as you move through tail tilts down. Begin to round up through the back, moving up through lumbar spine, thoracic spine, cervical spine, chin tucks in towards chest. And then again, lift up the tail, begin to move from the tail all the way up through the spine, all the way up. And you find your cow, and then one more time, rounding from the tail. Feeling that movement, move all the way up the spine to the cervical spine. You round yourself in, and then bring yourself to your table, neutral spine. We'll move into a few rounds of our cat-cow, and now this time imagine that you're initiating movement from your head. So instead of the tail, we'll move from the head now. So we'll find our cow, begin to lift up the head, moving down from the head, down through the neck, beginning to soften, drop down through the thoracic spine, down through the lumbar spine, tail begins to lift, and then we move from the head, now finding our way into our cat pose, dropping the chin down towards the chest, beginning to round up through the thoracic spine, feeling your way down into the lumbar spine. Tail begins to tilt down, whole back is rounding, and then we'll move it into our cow pose again. Moving from the head, neck begins to lift. Begin to feel it moving down the thoracic spine, down into the belly, down to the lumbar spine. Tail lifts again, you find your cow, and then again, chin drops down to the chest. Begin to feel the movement from the head all the way down the spine to the tail. Tail curls in. And then bring yourself back into your neutral spine table. And then let's take knees together, inner legs together. Send your bum back to your heels, finding child's pose with legs together. Release forehead down to the mat if you like. And then we'll shift it forward back into our table. You can bring your knees about hip width distance again. Find your way down onto your belly. And we'll bring it into a Sphinx pose. Forearms down to the mat. Spread fingers, root down through fingers and toes and pubic bone. Begin to magnetize the hands back towards you. And as you do that, pull the heart forward through the arms. And then we'll take hands underneath shoulders, press yourself back, bum comes back to the heels, finding child's pose. Let's take it forward again, coming back onto your belly. This time take hands under shoulders, elbows hug in, lift up through your heart, find a baby cobra. Release yourself down. And then again, hug elbows in, lift up through the heart, press into the hands, lift yourself a little bit higher, maybe into your full cobra if you feel ready. Lower yourself down. Elbows hug in. Again, you lift it up, either baby cobra or bring it all the way up full cobra. Release yourself down. Press yourself back. Bum comes back to heels, child's pose. And then bring yourself back up into your table. We'll tuck the toes under now. Press into hands. Lift up your knees. Glide your hips up and back. Downward dog. You can start with a bigger little bend in your knees and find some movement here, pedaling legs or bending, straightening knees. And then slowly walk your hands back to meet your feet. Come into a forward fold at the back of your mat. Bring your belly to your thighs, let your head go. And then hands to hips, press into your feet, lift your heart, come all the way up to stand. And then we'll bring palms together at the heart. And then we'll begin to roll our way through the spine, bring ourselves back down into that forward fold. So we'll begin to drop the chin down towards the chest. Slowly, if you can imagine, just articulating all the way down through each vertebrae one at a time. So down through the neck, down through the upper back, thoracic spine, and then you slowly begin to roll your way down. And then once you find your way down, you can hang out here for a moment, maybe shake, nod the head. And then as you feel ready, we'll slowly begin to roll our way up. Again, imagining that you could roll up one vertebra at a time. Slowly, slowly, slowly. You bring yourself up. And then finally unfurl the head. We'll bring the palms together at the heart. And then release arms down. Let's do it one more time. Slowly begin to roll your spine down, starting with the head, moving down through upper back, finding your way down through the lower back. And then you find your way all the way down into your forward fold. And then slowly begin to find your way back up. Rolling it up, one vertebra at a time. And then we'll sweep hands out to the sides and up, palms together. Take the hands back down to the heart, and as you do, begin to fold it forward. We'll bring it all the way down into that forward fold. And then lift it all the way back up. Palms together at heart. Release the hands down. And now take a little peek over your right shoulder, as if you're looking behind yourself or something or someone. And then bring yourself to center and look over your left shoulder. Bring yourself to center. Look over that right shoulder. Bring it back to center. Look over the left shoulder again. Back to center. One more time each side. Take a peek over your right shoulder. And then back to center. And then take a peek over your left shoulder. And then bring it to center. Palms together at the heart. Roll your way down. Forward fold. And then you can bend your knees if you would like. You want to get your hands down on the mat and walk yourself back out into downward dog. And then lower your knees down to the mat. We'll come back into our table. We'll bring it into a few barrel rolls as we close out our practice. So soften your belly, drop the belly down, lift the tail as if we're moving into our cow pose. Shift your rib cage over to the right and then press into your hands. Begin to round your back up towards the ceiling. Draw the rib cage in towards center and then send your rib cage over to the left. And then drop your belly down, rib cage down, bring yourself through center. Rib cage moves over to the right. You round your back up towards ceiling, shift it over to the left, and then back through center. And then we'll switch directions. Send your rib cage over to the left, press into the hands, round your back up towards the ceiling, bring it through center. Rib cage moves to the right. Begin to soften the belly, drop the rib cage down, come back through center. You can soften the elbows as you move through center. Round up through the back and send yourself around. Maybe one more time. And then bring it to center. Bum comes back to the heels, knees together, child's pose. And you can rest your head on your forearms. Stack the arms on top of each other. Or you can rest your forehead down on the mat. And then slowly bring yourself up to sit on your heels. Take palms together at your heart. Come back to our intention to be gentle, kind, patient, loving, and compassionate with ourselves. Thank you so much for sharing this quickie practice with me today. I hope it helped. Hope it loosened up the spine a little bit, got things moving. With love and gratitude, namaste.